Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Be Unspecified podcast. Today, it's just myself, kind of working out a few of the kinks, and we're going to get a nice little run through of what this is going to feel like. If you're new to the channel, this is going to be like the pilot all over again. And that was my first video that I ever uploaded, talking about what did I talk about in the pilot? Oh my gosh, I had about 5-second pauses between every word. I talked about cars. That was before I even had the segments named. I just called them segments. First, second, third. Oh wow. Yep. How many months ago was that? Like 10 months? Woofda. 10 months ago. That was such a long time. It's been such a journey, truly. Yeah, well, today in the Be Unspecified podcast, we are going to dive in on the Unspecified Show and YouTube, all in general. Kind of like what it is and how it is, right? Like, I mean, YouTube, this big multi-million, maybe even billion, probably billion. I wonder if it's trillion dollar company that so many people can easily just create and put content on. Yeah, I mean, what really inspired me to do the Unspecified Show is, let's see, I really have a passion for theater. Yeah, theater's been a big part of my life. The way it can just allow yourself to express what you're feeling to an audience that will interpret it in different ways or possibly the same, and truly depict what you're producing or saying or showing or doing, right? And I kind of wanted to do that in front of an audience, but obviously, how is a teenager going to get in front of an audience on a stage all the time and perform, right? Well, what if I brought the stage to the viewers? And that's kind of where I turned to YouTube, my bad. I didn't turn into YouTube. I am YouTube now. No. It turned to YouTube to understand more about how I could do this. And through that, I found so many interesting things and so many things I've learned. Oh my gosh, I mean, you don't get monetized right away. You got to get 1,000 subscribers, which please do subscribe. That'd help out a ton. But you also need 4,000 watch hours, which that one is the tricky one to do because, I mean, you can get people to subscribe, but it's getting them to continue to watch. And, I mean, that's all a good goal and all, but I think really the biggest goal that I have is for people to enjoy the content that I'm producing, right? And I turned so much to late night shows and like Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, all the Jimmys. They all start with the J. James Corden, all those great titans of the late night industry, the talk show industry. And I decided that's kind of what I wanted to do because believe it or not, I used to have a talk show back in the beginning of the COVID pandemic, which was March of 2020, and I would have been in 7th grade. 7th grade is what I would have been in. Wow. Oh, how the years fly. Yeah, there was this little thing called Flipgrid, and for daily check-in, you would have to post something. And people would post a little, like there was a topic question like, what's your favorite pizza or something. People would just post like a 3-second video of them saying pepperoni. Well, I thought that was too boring, right? I mean, you got to look at the extraordinary. You got to expand off your views. You got to captivate the audience. I mean, really, anywhere can be your stage, and that's what I wanted to do. I saw that as my stage. I saw it as a way, this is a tough time. Let's make people laugh, right? So I decided, that little question that they had was going to be a span of like minutes rather than seconds. I would talk and I would make it funny. I would make up, like, for example, if we're still talking about the pepperoni example or the pizza example, whatever I said, I would expand off with like weird flavors, just things that would be like, because it appealed to the audience kind of both young and older, I mean, the teachers said they loved it. And that was great for me. I mean, to get a comment from your teacher saying they love the comment, to get a comment, that they love the content that you're doing, I mean, that is wonderful. I truly enjoy that. Yeah, I keep saying, filler words. Filler words. My bad. Let me take a sip of coffee here. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, that is good. Currently, I'm using the space of Deja Blue House of Coffee. Uh, very, very grateful for that. And the drink that I have today is they have a Marvel inspired drink, which, if you don't know me, I love Marvel. That's the thing I like. I'm a nerd, a geek, whatever you call it. I'm proud of it. Yeah, this is called the Wolverine Depth Charge, and I believe it's got some espresso in it. So we'll see how we're doing toward the end of this video. We might be a little uppity. Yes. Well, thank you so much again, Deja Blue. I truly appreciate that. Yeah, diving back into the Flipgrid show that I was talking about. You know, I would continue. I mean, this was every day, because we were distance learning at this point. And I decided, well, you know, if it's getting such a great reaction, let's put a name to it. So I called it the Daily Awesome Flipgrid Show. I was young. Don't judge me. The Unspecified Show is a much better name than the Daily Awesome. The Daily Awesome YouTube show. I mean, sure, that's okay, but it's not original, you know. So yeah, I had the Daily Awesome flip. Whoa, blah, 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 blah. Gotta do some articulation. Jeez. Sorry, I'm so used to being able to edit out all those mistakes, but I suppose now it's just a great time to kind of relax and not have to worry about that, I suppose. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Once I get guests on this podcast, I suppose it'll be easier to bounce on and off with ideas. I'm just kind of gonna be rambling on and on, but I suppose that's what a podcast is, isn't it? I mean, you just turn on the camera and listen into a conversation that two people are having, or one, which is I'm soloing today. So don't worry, there will be guests down the road. Yes. Anyway, the Daily Awesome Flipgrid Show. Oh yeah, that was fun. That was fun while it lasted. I took on a partner, a co-host, Micah Walswick, who's been on the show before, also been my cameraman. Yeah, great guy. And I had I think I had a couple other people. I think Ethan Steinman was also part of it once. Yeah, but you know, he'd split it up into a couple of parts. Instead of just recording one response, we would record several, and you know, it would increase in length. Rather than just having that limited response at 2 minutes, we were like, okay, let's hack the system. You know, if we record 2 responses, now we got 4 minutes, more content, more captivating, more enjoyment, you know, more. But, you know, more turned out to be less, because eventually it filtered out when people realized that the Flipgrid actually wasn't required. So then it only became down to like 5 viewers, a couple of teachers, and a couple of loyal students that really had nothing much else to do. So, yeah, that's what it came down to, but really it wasn't about the viewership for me. Now I sound like some sort of humble hero, but I'm truly, I mean, it wasn't. It was about, you know, taking my mind off the fact that I was going to have to do school remotely, you know, and I think for me, in some way, I think that's what it was for people too, you know, to try and take their mind off of things in their life that are giving them discomfort or not really what they're enjoying. Right? Like, say they're going through a breakup, right? I mean, that's got to be hard, and especially for anyone of any age, you know. And how are you going to get through that, right? Well, I'm here to be as an option. I'm not saying I'm here to help. I'm not saying I'm your therapist. Love to be, but you know, that'd be cool to save people's lives. But no, I'm just here as an escape into your own world, to know someone who's a host of a show. I mean, to be a host of the show. Oh my gosh, the Unspecified Show is just it's opened my eyes so much to what I thought was possible. I mean, a couple months ago, back in September or October, I think it was September maybe. Yeah, it was September because it was homecoming weekend. I was in a parade. Um, how did that happen? Like, when did I ever think I was going to be in a parade? Never. But that was the height of the Unspecified Show for me. To be in that parade, to have that recognition, have those little kids look up to you, be like, look, it's Miles from the Unspecified Show. That is something I dreamt about for years. To be looked up to as like a role model, a good role model. Yeah, that's amazing. And to get it from something that you built, something that you built up from the ground, from nothing, just in a downstairs storage room, carved out a little corner, put down a cheap desk, a chair. Actually, the desk was old. I think it was a folding chair too. I didn't even have a tripod back then. Back then, I recorded on an iPhone 5, I think it was. Yeah, an iPhone 5 on a couple of totes that were stacked up to about eye level. No microphone. It was nice and echoey. The wall was blank. It was just yellow. Oh, and then after that, it was deciding how to form the Unspecified Show. How do you make something that, quote unquote, hasn't really been done? I mean, because talk shows have been done, right? But they have a set path. I mean, they got a formula that makes it a talk show, right? I mean, they got a guest, they got a chair, they got a desk, they got a entrance, they got a band, right? Or, I mean, people do it in their garage. But they always have a chair, right? And, I mean, since it's at my house, I'm not going to have random strangers over at my house. But, like, also, I want a guest on the show, so how do I do that? And also, how do I get a different age group of guests so it's not just the same age group? Otherwise, now I'm acting like the Cardinal Cast, but no offense. For those of you who don't know what the Cardinal Cast is, it's a little program. Kind of a program. A little snippet of something that students at my high school can record, and they can put together an experience with the world of what I'm doing, filming and editing and uploading and being a content creator. That's kind of what it is. But I didn't want to be that. I wanted to separate myself. But I also didn't want to have a set path. Like, why should I only do this one thing for the rest of my career, right? Or change it along the way, right? Why can't I just do whatever I want? I mean, I'm the CEO. I can make all the decisions, right? Not to sound cocky, but I mean, it is. And that's what I wanted to do. So to be able to be the Unspecified Show, it gives me that range of power to say, okay, what should I do today? Oh, well, if I really wanted to, I could literally do nothing for 10 minutes. And that's what I did. I uploaded a video of me doing nothing for 10 minutes because you can't expect anything that I do. I mean, I felt like the episodes were getting a little bit repetitive, and I'm like, well, that's not really what the Unspecified Show is about. So then I created the Unspecified Challenge series, a way for me to do really crazy things that most other people wouldn't do, right? Or weird challenges that you're like, oh, that's different, right? And do that. So that's kind of what I did there. And then I was sitting down, I'm like, well, what if I did a podcast? Because believe it or not, a ton of people come up to me and they're like, hey, how's your podcast going? And I'm kind of just like, ooh, because it's not a podcast, it's a show. But then I'm like, well, what if I captivated on the fact that people think it's a podcast already? Well, not everybody, but some people, right? And then this way I can bring more people onto the show, and we can truly just sit and have a conversation. And that's got to be relaxing, right? I mean, you're not having a conversation to the audience, you're having a conversation with somebody that you're sitting next to. For me, right now, I'm having a conversation with myself. I'm thinking out loud. And I mean, sure, I'm looking at the camera sometimes, but I'm just thinking out loud. Like I said, it's just a conversation with myself, which is nice. I really don't get to do that very often. So I'm kind of rambling on and on and on. Oh, that is good. Mm. Excuse me. Had to wet my whistle a little bit. Yeah, but now, kind of moving away from the Unspecified Show a little bit and talking solely about YouTube. What is it? Well, it's, believe it or not, difficult. It is difficult at sometimes because you got to worry about, not copying what other people do. You got to figure out your own content, and you got to get it recognized. You got to get it out there. You got to get people watching it. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, you don't have to get people to watch it, but I mean, it's kind of nice to, create a large group of people, get them together and watch the thing that you've proudly created. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be like a Mr. Beast type of video to name a big name. Jeez, how many subscribers is he at? 130 million? Oh, I know I have goals, but I also have limits, and I know for a fact that I'm not getting to 130 million subscribers. I'm actually getting to 1 billion. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard, but it's fun because it's a challenge, right? I mean, you got to experiment ways. You put out this video and you're like, oh, well, that didn't do too well. I mean, this video did better than this video, but I released this one at a later date and this one at an earlier date, or vice versa, right? But, I mean, when do you stop? Never. To quote my friend, who's also made several appearances on the Unspecified Show, Dylan Frusciante, he talks about how he, no matter what the video is, he'll put it out. He had one video that he was like, I don't think it's going to be pretty good. I don't really want to put it out. He put it out, 1,000 views. Even more than that. I think he's at like 1.5 or 1,500. I mean, it's wonderful. You just never know. I mean, he didn't think that video was going to get the reaction that it did. It's like, if you're running and all of a sudden you're like, I don't think I can do it, but you're right there to the finish line. I mean, you can't see the finish line, but everyone else can. They're like, it's right there. You just got to keep going. But I mean, you give up, you never finish that. You never get that reward, that relief, that satisfaction. And that's what we're going toward. Let's see, what else should I talk about here? How do I get my ideas? Improv. A lot of the stuff I do is improv. I love improv. I mean, this right now is improv. I just asked that question to myself out loud. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I'll look to my peers at my school to get ideas of what they want to see me do. But, I mean, very rarely do I get an idea that's like, yep. And no offense. I take ideas and I kind of get ideas from those ideas. Like someone says, make a running vlog. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, how can I tweak it to make it really interesting? Oh, put it under the Unspecified Challenge series. Let's run a mile in a suit. Let's do something that is known to me, which is wearing and having a lot of suits. And let's take that idea and combine them together. And now you got a really interesting thing, right? Or it's just doing things that you wouldn't think normal people, sane people would do. Oh my gosh, running 2 miles in 2 different suits in the cold, that's one of the most insanest things I've done. Oh my gosh, how do you not get sick from that? Oh wait, I did get sick. I did get sick from that, I remember that. Yep, that was fun. Consequences of doing dumb things. Excuse me here. But if we're I'm not going to go on forever and ever, I'm kind of getting to feel like this. And, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing, I kind of want someone else here. I kind of want to be like, right here, having a conversation with someone. I'd be like, well, let's talk about photography. What's it like with photography? And the person who's a master photographer will be like, well, Miles, you see, it's actually not called photography, but film. Something like that. I don't know, right? That was an example, because I'm gonna learn new things, and I think you will too, hopefully. So that's kind of the point. Before I end the podcast here, I want to leave you with a message. Yep, that's what I like to do. Or I try to anyway. I don't know. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I like to think it does. I like to think it touches a couple people. So, I think I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Never give up. If we're touching back to what Dylan said, never give up. Because that next thing could be your next great thing. You keep pushing, you keep digging, you keep mining, because you might strike gold. Imagine if you're mining, right? And you're like, well, I've been doing it for years, time to quit. You're about 1 inch away from the biggest gold deposit the world has ever seen. Imagine that. Someone else, a couple years later, goes digging right near where you were and find out it connected. You see it on the news and you're like, oh, that could have been me. Imagine, you gotta live with that. I mean, that's just an example, but just imagine living with that. I mean, something that you had in your grasp, but you didn't get it because you didn't keep going. You quit. And sure, it gets hard. I mean, there have been days, I tell you, there have been days from the Unspecified Show where I'm sitting at my desk for hours just wondering what to do, wondering what I should do, but it's, when I turn that camera on, it is literally lights, camera, action for me. The mind switches and it engages into something that it's subconsciously knows for some reason. It's just like, we're filming now. This is it. But yeah, just never give up. That's all I gotta say. Well, nice short little podcast for you. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like. Go check out my other videos on my YouTube channel, The Unspecified Show. And stick around, because there will be more podcast videos soon with some exciting guests. So, thank you all for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. Make it a wonderful day. Always be a wonderful day. We'll see if I stick with that. Thank you again to Deja Blue House of Coffee for letting me use your space. Look at that cup. Isn't that cool? That is pretty. As we say in French, au revoir.